The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Master Mike, good afternoon. We're on Mannin Line, open line till 1 o'clock today. This Friday lunchtime in the Isle of Man as we're in the final weekend of April 2025. Can you believe how the year's flying away? Well, yesterday was a big day. Some very interesting results in the local elections, which we'll come to later. If you want to comment, then by all means do. Text, email, call, WhatsApp. Call 66 13 68. WhatsApp and message on 166 177. Email studio@maxradio.com. Robert's first with us today. Hi, Robert.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well.
I was just talking about Hannah's from Patrick. Didn't get in. He's been there 2 score years. And I was just a bit disappointed that Hannah's didn't get in, you know. So that's unfortunate, really.
Well, it's just one of those things. You're talking about Henry Bryson, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there were 6 candidates. There were only 5 seats. And obviously Gordon Clegg, Robert Anderson, Paul Craker, Leo Cousins and Simon Mellor got elected and Mr. Bryson didn't. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, I saw Leo walking past the bus stop yesterday in his navy suit, so he's doing well, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it was just a regular day up in Peel yesterday. I went for an egg and cheese bath over at the Gales Fair or whatever. Just had a look around, you know. Not a lot happening, but everything seems the same on the street over in Peel.
Every day's a good day in Peel, though, Robert, isn't it?
Oh, well, I suppose so. You've got the Tesco store down there doing a good show, and plenty of marble gold.
What do you think about the fact that Fenella Beach is going to change from now on? Did you hear that story?
Are they going to put pipes in?
No. What's happening is that you get a lot of seashells on the beach at Fenella, and that's due to the fact that they throw all the scallop shells down into the sea just further down the coast, and they get washed and they wash up onto the beach, and they're stopping doing that now. So there'll be maybe just fewer shells on Fenella Beach. I think it'll still be the same colour, but that's changing now. So Fenella Beach may be a bit different in the coming years.
Well, won't we be tired the day we get a washed-up bridge on Fenella Beach, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
Right.
I mean, you know. I mean, I think the shells are okay. I mean, I don't mind. Is it True Action or something like that, or Retro Action on YouTube or whatever it is? I think they're okay, to be honest with you. I think you have to really look in the white ones really, and get them going around the brown ones as well, and. You know, there's a couple there. There's a few going down Peel Observatory as well, around the other side, along to where the cabin is. But they don't wash up very often, and there's mostly seaweed down there. So, but I'm sure you can eat seaweed, can't you, from Peel?
I wouldn't recommend it, I'll be honest with you, but I'm sure you can eat some sorts of seaweed. Well, you never know
I'm sure you can.
Well, you do know what they pump into the sea off Peel, don't you?
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't reach around the corner, does it?
Well, let's hope not. All right. Okay, Robert, good to hear from you. Have a good
weekend.
Right,
see you then. Bye
Take care now.
Okay.
Yes, yesterday was local election day. There were no elections in Andros, Arbury and Rushen, Bride, Braddon, Ballaugh, Douglas North, East and Central, Garth, German, Derby, Lazaire, Maloo, Moran, Michael, Onken, Port Erin, Portsmouth Mary, Ramsey, Southwood and Santon. All the seats were filled in nomination day. Ramsey declared last night, first declared successful candidates from 5 local authorities. Douglas South declared last at about 20 past 11. In Castletown, well, Tony Brown topped the poll, 738 votes. John Kringle, William Galley, Alan Leonard, Mahendra Kumar Patel, Carol Quine and Lawrence Watterson all elected. So that's all happening there in Castletown. Surprisingly, because he's been there forever, Colin Leather didn't make it back. In Douglas South, resounding winner in terms of total votes across the whole evening. Another former minister from Tynwald got elected as a councillor in Douglas. David Cretney topped the poll with almost 1,100 votes. Stephen Crellin and Carol Van Elst were also elected. In Patrick, as you heard, Henry Brightson failed to secure re-election. So Mr Clegg, Mr Anderson, Paul Craker, Leo Cousins and Simon Mellor. Out west in Peel, Ray Harmer topped the poll, another former minister as commissioner now, 792 votes. Katrina Baptist, Frank Crompton, Alistair Cubban-Wood, Stuart Hardingham, Sharon Lambert and Christine Muckton also elected. Turnout out of 28% in Peel, 28.7 in Patrick. It was in Castletown, it was, I think, 39.8%. In Ramsey North, Joan McGuinness topped the poll, 477 votes. It was 20% turnout in Ramsey North. Emma Honey, Pauline Johns, Garrett, Elizabeth Shimmin, Margaret Webb and Wilf Young were also elected. Obviously, Mr McGuinness and Mr Young secured re-election to that yesterday. So, to all the candidates, we thank you for standing, and to the ones who were successful, congratulations, commiserations to those who weren't. David's on now. Hi, David.
Hi, Andy. I was just going to say the same thing, really, regarding the local authority elections there. It's great that they took the opportunity to stand and create an election. That's the main thing that people should get out of this, whether they got in or not, is we had an election and a democratic decision was taken. The only thing I would think, Andy, for the future is, and the Cabinet Office, because the Cabinet Office ran it, is to say to them now, let's examine, the Cabinet Office, examine how can we make it easier for people to vote. Should we do it like they do for the national elections, that each candidate is allowed one manifesto to be delivered to one house in the area? You know, that could save people a lot of money, because when they had to produce their manifestos, say it's 500 quid, which it could be, and then you get posters, and then you have to put it out through the post office.
Yeah.
Don't know how much that was, but maybe one of the candidates that can talk about it now can come on and say maybe what difficulties they had and the bureaucracy regarding filling forms in. This time there was a massive load of forms in, what you were connected with, how much money you were potentially going to spend, and filling forms in all the time to make, like a local authority member there, a remuneration of £8, and you've got to pay your own phone bill, the internet, and so forth. So it's not a money-making exercise, what it's like when you're a national politician, when you're getting 57,000 or 70,000, and then some of them are doing nothing.
And I think this it's an important point to make, the fact that commissioners and councillors play a very important part in our democracy. I mean, on a practical level, because they're the people who talk to the electorate, they talk to the voters, they get a feel of what's happening in the community. But they are a cog in the wheel of democracy. And it's just one of those things that if we didn't have it, we'd really, really miss it.
We would.
It's just important that more people vote and more people get involved. And I think once people start to get involved, they understand how the system works.
Yeah, that I was going to say to you too, the little hint I got from Tony Brown's short piece after his election there was, if I could paraphrase it a little bit, where he said the connection between the people that's living in central Douglas, that I presume met the civil servants and the local authorities, of how we're being treated or how we're not being treated fairly with regarding to policies that's coming out. Not discussing it with the local authority when it affects us directly should be challenged all the time. And it'd be great to see the members, or the new members, who they are. The Municipal Association, I think, this coming year and into next year is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And then, because little did government know, or some of the politicians, they should be consulting the Municipal Association as a matter of, it's not law, but it's a matter of courtesy, telling us what's going on and how can we help, or how can we tell them you're going down the wrong road.
Well, we'll wait and watch and see, David, but appreciate it. On that subject now, because it may be that people were watching the election yesterday and in the back of their minds thinking, actually, I could do that. I mean, what sort of person do you have to be? I mean, and as you said, if you're thinking of money, there's nothing in it. So that's the first thing to realise. So you've got to want to do something for the community, yeah?
Yeah. So how can, I mean, it'd be nice to get some of the candidates on and say to them, what did you feel? What could we do better as a government in the Isle of Man to encourage democracy to happen in a civilised world, which we are, And those people who were stood there for the 8 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night, and people who helped them, they may have ideas for the future as well. Did it work where the polling stations, you could vote in anywhere else, anywhere than just a specific polling station? That might have helped people out. And the saddest thing, Andy, too, is, and we haven't got any figures, I'd love to ask them to put some more figures out there too, is how many had absent votes or postal votes? What I call postal votes. There was only one, and I'm not quite sure which constituency it was, said there was only about 10 or 12. That's poor, isn't it, when there's an opportunity to person to have a postal vote if they can't get there?
Yeah.
And what was the age demographic of those that were coming to the polling stations? Only the candidates will know that.
Okay.
All right. We can find out.
Appreciate it. Have a good weekend. Thanks for being with us. 18 minutes past 12 o'clock it is. Talking of postal votes, it was Ramsey. There were 18 postal votes in Ramsey North yesterday. The turnout was 20-odd%. I was talking about the trams yesterday, the horse trams, the famous halfway horse tram that we have in Douglas. And what about the plans that there were? And the Department of Infrastructure is now talking about the fact that they may go away and think about it, have a meeting, and then propose it to Treasury and then take it to Tynwald. The plan to electrify the horse trams to extend the MER to the sea terminal apparently was first proposed in 1901 when the MER bought the trams. We're talking about why don't they just go the whole hog and electrify down to the sea terminal? Well, 1901 it was proposed. The current horse trams are future-proofed. The new lines are being of heavier grade to take modern trams. They were bought second-hand, apparently, from the abandoned Seaton tramway. So, yes, all possible, and the substation at Derby Castle was upgraded to accommodate it a number of years ago. So it is possible the tram lines are of heavier grade. They could take modern trams, or they could take the electric trams as they are through to the sea terminal. Wouldn't require wires overhead down to the prom, as that could be done by battery, as per the modern Wolverhampton trams, which apparently work on a mixture of overhead and battery. So the technology is there. So who knows? But anyway, let's get the horse trams through to the sea terminal, says Colin. Well, we'll see, won't we? Obviously, somebody somewhere decided that the horse trams weren't worth it. A note in from Kenyon who says, I had several blood tests yesterday. Congratulations to the Nobles Pathology Lab for processing them the same day. Yes, hats off. The same day. And also the highly efficient blood clinic. Unfortunately, I now have to wait 9 weeks just to hear the results in a short consultation with my GP. I'm told there's a huge demand for appointments and GPs are having to work very hard. However, on delving further, I learned the truth. Apparently, GPs are only working part-time. Now, is this genuine? Is this actually happening? And of course, remember, the GPs are businesses. They are. They're not employed. They get remuneration for doing work for Manx Care, so they can make an own decision as to what they do. But We're back to the shortage of GPs. 9 weeks for a short consultation with the GP over a blood test. Thanks for that. I didn't vote yesterday, but we only had one manifesto, so how could we vote when we don't know who we should vote for? That's from WhatsApper 437. Well, going on what David was saying, obviously the candidates are funding it all themselves. And again, there's no big pot of gold when you become a commissioner or a councillor. You're doing it for the love of the job and the love of your community. I mean, obviously, there are some people who know that being a commissioner can be a stepping stone to keys, because you get in, you learn the ropes, you know how it works, and that may work. But that's a tiny minority of people who make it on from being a commissioner to being an MHK. I'm over the moon with the result in Patrick. Wish the commissioners all the very best and hope all the general public get behind them and work together, says Barry on 975. Thank you, Barry. Good to hear from you. The Manxman hasn't sailed again today, and the Ben has been sent in its place. Is this the normal thing now? What's going to happen? We don't know what the reason is. I mean, I think the Ben actually draws more water. It's got a lower draft than the Manxman. So we don't quite know why the Manxman hasn't gone and the Ben has. You'll find that the shells for many years have been dumped off the back of Peel Hill. So they're... Manxers, but they were actually they were full of chemicals. Well, they'd have chemicals around them because of the cleaning of the shells and what have you. But anyway, it's they're not doing it anymore. Apparently, it's being done in a different way. So that's the situation. And Fenella Beach may be different because of this. Thank you also to Alison, who dropped me a note in to say, "I'm very impressed." Well, Alison, I'm glad to hear it. We've got a new webcam. Actually, we've got a couple of new webcams on the Max Radio website. By the way, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, if you've got a webcam that's in a particularly iconic location, I mean, not your back garden, but if you've got one, then we'd be more than happy to put it on our website, because we've got about 15, 16 webcams. If you go to maxradio.com, click on the Island info page, we've got a page of webcams. Now, not only have we got another one in Port Erin now, which is at the Shore Hotel, we've also got one in Groudle Glen by the railways there, but also the one from Manx Radio looking over Douglas Bay is now live. Everything's moving. It's like watching a film. It's just one of those things you can watch for hours. You go to manxradio.com, click on the webcam page. Our Douglas Bay cam is now live, and Julian's with us now. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Andy. Did I hear right on the last sitting of Tynwald? I think Jason Morehouse was talking to John Wannenberg, who admitted that there are 17 non-disclosure agreements signed with the MUA with various people and consultancies or companies.
I remember there was I didn't remember it was that many, though.
Yeah, I just wonder what that's all about.
Well, with a lot of people, it's standard, isn't it? I mean, in personnel, in HR matters, an agreement will be made, and there's a non-disclosure, and nobody can say anything.
Well, that's normally in companies, isn't it? Not a publicly owned entity like the MUA, I would have thought. I don't know. I mean, 17 of them seems quite a lot. Anyway, just a quick one today. I picked up on somebody texted into you yesterday talking about OPUL. We're seeing them on coaches and taxis across the island.
Yeah, obviously. I don't know whether they've actually bought all the hotels or the taxis, or it's just a marketing agreement. And if anybody from OPUL knows, then do tell us. But what's your thought?
Well, I had a look on their website, which is OPUL, OPUL.solutions. They talk about transport, including taxis, coaches, and private jets. You can even have your concierge transfer from the airport or the jet centre, accommodation on Douglas Promenade, Isle of Man tours. So I suppose if they're saying that they're doing these Isle of Man tours, then they are a replacement for what we used to have as Tours Isle of Man. Yeah. The OPUL concierge was founded by a Victoria Creasy. So it might be kind of interesting to have, maybe she could come on and have a chat with us, and because if we've got all the tour things and a lot of these taxis switching out and going to different people, it might be nice to know what the plan is, in terms of the future of, especially with things like it's uncertain what we're going to do with things like trying to get down to the Sounds and Craignish. I noticed at the same time, on the 13th of June, there were multiple companies all signed up at the same time on the Company's House over here. You've got OPUL House, OPUL Centre, OPUL Express, OPUL Boutique, OPUL Hospitality. OPUL Concierge was done on December, just gone. And coincidentally, I'm seeing a director called Shazia Ashraf. Be quite interested to know if that is the person that's sort of the one behind all this. I mean, yet to know if that's set in stone. Yeah. But that person has also got a company in the UK to do with digital surveillance. So I don't know quite. Perhaps they've got various different things, but it might be interesting just to have a little bit more information as to who's sort of taking over all the tourists.
Very good.
Stuff
all right.
Over here.
Well, we've given them enough free publicity, Julian. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks
then, Andy.
Have a good weekend. Cheers now. Bye-bye. And Mark joins us. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Andy. How you doing, fella?
Very well, thanks.
Right. Two things. The first one is a couple of minutes longer than the second one. But you regularly drive back up and down the prom, don't you?
Yeah.
Right. If you look at those that orange Segway, that bit that they've got in the middle where the horse tram tracks are meant to go, if you look at that and imagine the horse tram on it, now they don't sit between those areas. They hang over a good 2 feet either side. Now, just imagine it next time you're going along the prom and think to yourself, how is a van or a bus going to get between the horse tram and them stupid pavements that they've put out like 60 feet out from the curb? They can't do it. It's impossible. So the only way they're going to get round this, Andy, if you're going to electrify or put them back on where the horse trams, is literally, I hate to say it, to dig the prom back up and put the pavements back to where they were.
Oh, cracky. That'll be another committee, won't it? It'll be a consultation.
There'll be another consultation with a firm from across who'll cost £600,000 to say, dig up the thing, put it back to how it was, and you'll be fine. Because at the moment, Andy, you put a horse tram on that, nothing bigger than a motorbike will get through. Because, I mean, I was driving along the other day, and there was a van there. It was one of these gigantic big vans, and it was stuck out from the parking bay. It was stuck out about 8 foot. Now, if I had to go onto the orange bit to get around it. Now, if you've got a horse tram on that orange bit, you know how slow they go. You're not going to get anything through, nothing whatsoever. So unless they start to think about shortening the width of the prom, they might as well not even think about the horse trams, because it's just a waste of time and a waste of money and a waste of committees.
And what do you think? I mean, the horse tram, apparently, of course, it's meant to go where that grass verges at the back of the parking, isn't it? That's where it's meant to go.
It's meant to go there, but again, if you've got a brick wall there. So if you put the trams on that, you know, people are going to be getting off and walking into a brick wall, and there's going to be nowhere for them to stand to get on and off it.
Yeah, and they're talking of big vans. A lot of those big vans reverse into the herringbone parking, and they hang over the pavement.
Exactly, and I don't know if it was a bad dream I had after too many beers one night, but I'm sure I read somewhere that they were going to ban big vans from the promenade when the horse trams came back. But again, that could have just been too many cans of Carlsberg. I don't know, but I'm sure I heard that somewhere. But anyway, last one before you go, because I know you're going to be busy today because you want to get home and put your feet up. Every single type of seaweed in the British Isles is edible.
Really? Well, when you've cleaned it, obviously.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't just jump into Douglas Bay and start scoffing the kelp. But if you get there's about six or eight different types of seaweed. They all have fancy names like kelp and rabbit's ear and angel's hair and stuff like that, and sea cabbage. But every single one of them, taken home, dried, can be eaten as like a vegetable. So there you go. Oh, and of course, you know as well as I do, kelp's got good iodine properties for cuts and bruises.
Very nice. Okay. All right. Have a good weekend.
You too, my friend. Have a good one.
Cheers now. 29 minutes before 1. Something's going on in the world of rugby. I don't know whether you know, but Ramsey Rugby Club have withdrawn from the remainder of this year's Manx Cup and Manx Plate competitions. Ramsey have issued a statement. Well, they issued a statement last night saying the decision was driven by significant concerns over player safety. Now, if you're involved in the rugby world, I just wonder what you know about this and what you think. Here's the man with all the news, Manx Radio sports editor Rob Pritchard.
The announcement was made before Ramsey's eventual 29-27 Manx Cup semi-final win over Vagabonds at Morrow Park on Wednesday evening. The club says this decision was being made regardless of yesterday's result, adding it hopes this move will serve as a catalyst aimed at addressing what it calls fundamental issues of trust and safety in the domestic game. In the statement, Ramsey Rugby Club says whilst it understands the challenges posed by having a smaller pool of teams on the island, the current system allows players consistently competing at a higher level to face players with considerably less experience and exposure to that playing standard. The club believes withdrawing is a necessary step to underscore the seriousness of its concerns and to protect its players from potential injury. However, Ramsey Rugby Club adds it remains committed to Manx Rugby and aspires to see what it terms improvements to see them compete in the Manx Cup again for the future. Organisers of the Manx Cup and Manx Plate are now expected to discuss possible ways forward for the finals of both tournaments next weekend. The Manx Executive Committee, which handles rugby business on the Isle of Man on behalf of Cheshire RFU, has been contacted for comment.
There is nothing more important in rugby than player safety. And again, this is almost like commissioners and councillors. There's no money in it. These players are amateurs who enjoy the game. So the fact that Ramsey's withdrawn because of significant concerns about player safety, it will be interesting to see. And if you've got any thoughts on that, do get in touch by texting, emailing, calling or WhatsApp.
Hi Liz, I see you've had your garage converted. We're desperate for more room.
Yes, come through and have a look. John called Manx Property Conversions. We now have an extra bedroom, but it could be another reception room, kids' playroom or office. They also did our conservatory roof last year. We were so impressed, we got them back to convert the garage.
Wow, I need that. What's their number again?
Call MPC on 450 500. That's 450 500. Or find them on Facebook at Manx Property Conversions.
Did you hear?
Hear what?
Skipton International has a fixed rate bond at 4.4%.
Oh really? That's a strong return. How does it work?
Skipton International's based in Guernsey, and with £100,000 or more deposit, you can lock in that great rate, fixed until 31st of March 2026.
Sounds like a smart move. I'll check it out.
For details on all of Skipton's savings products, call 01481 730 730 or visit skiptoninternational.com today. Skipton International is licensed to take deposits by the GFSC and is a participant in the Guernsey Banking Deposit Compensation Scheme. See dcs.gg.
Discover a fabulous range of watches, gifts and jewellery at Ramsey Art Gallery. With top brand watches from Bulova, Citizen Eco Drive and Storm to Acura, Seconda and Timex. Plus, all watch purchases come with free lifetime watch bracelet adjustment service. There's stunning gold and silver jewellery, gifts for all occasions, and of course a fabulous gallery of limited edition prints and original artworks. Find all this and more at Ramsey Art Gallery, Jewellers and Engravers, opposite Ramsey RNLI shop.
Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nera.
A Gilg, the Manx Gaelic, Chinian Amera, the mother tongue of Elian Vannin, the Isle of Man. You can catch up with more of Manx Radio's Manx language programmes in the weekly podcast Aber Rish. Say that again. Shene, that's the one.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
25 to 1. Hello to Leanne in Limoges in France. Don't they do porcelain there? Anyway, Leanne's in Limoges and she said, I've just been clicking on the Manx Radio Douglas Head webcam. It's live. She said, I'm nearly in tears watching Douglas Bay. Do we earn carbon credits for our electric railway? Thank you, Leanne. Surely this will help keep on the right side of the carbon neutral brigade. Also, who in government wanted to stop the electric railway going from Laxey to Ramsey? Lack of communication, says Paul. Well, there was that rumour, wasn't there, that didn't they want to take one half of the railway going from Laxey to Ramsey. There's always something going on, isn't there? And a note from a lot of doctors have second jobs running their own businesses. This is what's causing the issues in not getting a GP, says Paul. Rumour has it that OPUL has acquired the Sugarland Hotel and they're going to refurbish, which will be a lot of new beds available. Crikey, there's so many hotels. Well, the Sugarland has been empty for years, hasn't it? It's looked like the Addams family house for years. So, well, we'll wait and we'll find out, won't we? Howard's with us now. Hi, Howard.
Hello, Andy. Yeah, just as I say with an extra bit, that from Laxey to Ramsey, remember the Ballua Bridge on the approach into Ramsey was deteriorating to the point where it was ready to fall apart, and they replaced it. And they were slapping each other on the backs for the accolades they'd received on the working within budget, actually doing the bridge and allowing the railway to run all the way through to Ramsey. So for the same people within government to suggest that they stop running from Laxey to Ramsey is a bit farcical. But what I was coming on, I was talking to Chris, and I've said this before, when you look at where the new tramway lines, the double lines, run from the bottom of Summerhill over to Broadway, the gap between the two sets of lines, the middle of them, is wider. And the original plans were suggested that the electric tramway can run from Derby Castle right through, and it was suggested to go through to the sea terminal. I think this was quietly dropped, but the extra space between the lines was partially to accommodate the wider trams slightly, and the poles, which would have to carry at the time. They did say about electric batteries, etc., but again, the batteries then weren't developed like they are today. But they were going to put the poles up in the centre, and that's why the gap between the two sets of tram lines is wider, which then, in consequence, narrows the part where the traffic, which is the bulk of the movements on the promenade,
right,
summer and winter, are going to be, used. So if you've got a tram going along at 5 miles an hour, you've got some of the vehicles that get stuck behind it because 9 times out of 10 now you can't guarantee that somebody's parallel parked neatly, and you could get stuck halfway along. For many years, I and a lot of other fellas drove coaches, and our coaches are 8 feet wide plus, and you could pass the horse trams anywhere on the promenade, bar one spot, which was just before where they stop now. That was the only narrow part where you could do, but it was dodgy. The rest of the promenade, you could pass anywhere. Now, the plans that they drew up, finalised, has made a mess of all that, because, as that chap said earlier on, these stupid big areas where they've got walkouts, and it's, the traffic just can't move like it should do.
You see, at the start of when they were doing the prom, if they'd said the reason that they were taking all the parking away and what they were doing is as a giant traffic calming measure, I think everybody would have understood it. In fact, of course, the horse trams themselves are a traffic calming measure.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at a picture there in a book yesterday, the day before. I'm not sure it was number 46 or 49. It was a horse tram on the promenade, and it was the last of horse trams built anywhere in the world. and that was on the Douglas Bay Tramway. It's still in existence, but I think it's in a museum across now. They did sell a lot of them. But that, as I say, it's a unique structure on the promenade. And if you go beyond the little garden at the bottom of Summerhill, you'll see that the lines will go back to their original format, little more than a couple of feet apart, sufficient for 2 trams to pass. But beyond the bottom of Summerhill, they've widened out in the centre, and that was built there to accommodate what was envisaged, the electric trams going away to the end of the promenade. For what reason, I do not know. It's like people calling out for a tramway system in Douglas, multi-million pound to carry half a dozen people.
Yeah.
But that's probably what it is. They never revised the plans. They just stuck these things down the table and said to somebody, build that. And they want to get more of the repairs done instead of scratching about, because where you coming in onto the promenade now at the Old Villiers end, that rise that's there has fallen to pieces, and it nearly knocked the bottom of my car out yesterday down on the one by Clinch's Brewery. That's collapsing. Okay. So they want to get the roads done before they start messing about with other little fiddly bits.
Okay, all right, appreciate it. Thanks,
okay,
have a good
care.
weekend. Bye-bye now. 18 minutes before 1, another mention, this is from Wendy, who said, that would be fantastic if somebody's going to do the Sugarland Hotel up. I'm tired of explaining it away to friends and relatives who come across. The horse tram is going on the grass behind the parking, not on the pink tarmac. Lots of people telling me that. That's 179 who told me. Good afternoon, Andy. Hi, Kay. I was absolutely disgusted reading again about children in Castletown causing more damage. People must know who they are. We need to bring back the birch. I don't think there's any chance of that, Kay, but anyway, we take your point. This is not showing the island off for visitors for this. Well, there was a flurry of antisocial behaviour in Ramsey recently. Maybe that was just because of the school holidays, but we take your point, and somebody should be in charge of those children. Surely Ida recently had a blood test and the results were in my NHS app. The very next day also notes if you need a follow-up appointment with your GP. Get the app, says 888. Get the app and get the results and possibly save an unnecessary appointment with your GP. Do the councillors get paid, says Mark? Well, I think they get an allowance. I'm not sure it's a living wage. In fact, I know for a fact it's not a living wage. Rosemary, I'm off island and tried to arrange a postal vote before I left, but found it so difficult I just gave up. If you're interested in local government, you find out about the candidates instead of moaning that they haven't knocked on your door, says Rosemary. OPUL have bought telecabs and A1 taxis as well as the private jet company, tours Isle of Man and about 3 hotels and a shopping centre, says Pablo. Is that, well, that's Pablo's version. I don't know. That's not gospel. That's what Pablo tells us. And a note in to me that says the horse tram again is going on the grass behind the parking, not on the pink tarmac. Do you think there's enough room? And I'm sure they've measured it for there to be enough room. But if you've got big vehicles parking right onto the pavement with their wheels onto the pavement, surely the boot would go further across. Oh, not another committee. Thanks for getting in touch. When you drive down Douglas Promenade now, says 867, it's so narrow, just another part on the war on motorists. Yet we pay millions in tax every year. Well, we certainly do, Alan, pay millions in tax. Is it a war against surely they wouldn't kill the goose that lays the golden egg. A note in from Gillian, who said, will you congratulate Nathan Harrison? Well, I'm more than happy to. Did you hear that news about Nathan Harrison, who's competing for the Honda Satellite team, H&H Motorcycles, at the TT in the Northwest 200? He left Honda Racing UK after the last campaign, but he's now with H&H. A quick mention also that on Monday on Manx Radio, every evening at 9 o'clock, we'll have Guild specials. Judith Lay will be presenting Today at the Guild, and if you're involved in the Manx Music Festival and drama and everything else that goes with it, wish you well. How are the rehearsals going?
Drive smarter, drive more reliable, drive a great deal at Mannin Motors. With a superb range of cars for every budget, always available. And if we don't have it, we'll source it. Plus, servicing, valeting and prestige detailing too. Mannin Motors, Richmond Hill, Douglas. Find us on Facebook or call 420 420. That's 420 420. Drive a better bargain at Mannin Motors.
Are you wanting to relax in style? Well, this month at B&B Furniture, we're hosting our Relax in Style Sofa Month. With extra savings on all our sofas, come in and browse over 50 exciting and sumptuous models to choose from. All available with up to 3 years 0% finance, with no deposit required. The Relax in Style Sofa Month, now on at B&B Furniture, Snugborough Industrial Estate.
Classic bikes, vintage bikes, cafe racers and custom bikes, race machines and much more. They'll be at the Ramsey Motorcycle Show, Bank Holiday Monday, 5th of May. A great day out for all the family, whatever the weather, indoors at the Mountain View Innovation Centre, Jerby Road. Classes for most machines with prizes sponsored by Paul Deadman Performance and Open Face Racer. Ride up before 10 a.m. to enter on the day for only £5, with all proceeds donated to the Joey Dunlop Foundation. Doors open 11 till 3, free parking and free entry too. Ramsey Motorcycle Show, supported by CTH Insurance and your nation station, Manx Radio.
Do you like the arts? Whether it's this,
I've definitely been massively inspired by using the Chinese inks.
or perhaps this, maybe,
Standing stoically atop Cronknieri Lay.
or what about...
There's lots of booing, there's lots of hissing, there's lots of shouting.
Whatever your artistic tastes, you'll find it on Spotlight, Max Radio's weekly arts programme, carefully crafted by those creative lovelies at the Isle of Man Arts Council and presented by me, H, every Wednesday at 5:30 and available as a podcast straight after broadcast via the Max Radio website or your favourite podcast provider. Spotlight, picking out the art of our nation.
It's perfect because I haven't written it yet.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mai, 12 minutes now before 1. I don't understand why they didn't just move the horse trams to Ramsey, the promenade, and to the Moorrock Park. It would have been a fantastic attraction for Ramsey. Well, thank you, Six, for it. Just not as many people, but I take the point. It's simple. There should have been a single track on the prom. That's from 332. It's true what Pablo said about OPUL. They now own Tower House. Well, let's see. Isn't that true? Hi, sorry to say that the new commissioners can't change the way that the parish is run until some of the job they... Thank you, Derek. You're criticising some people there, which obviously I'm not going to read out because they don't have a right of reply. If you want to make a more general point, then by all means do get in touch, Derek. OPUL is, this is Southern Andy tells me, that OPUL is the brainchild of a very successful entrepreneur who it appears has taken a liking to the Isle of Man. Consequently, he's making significant investments to rejuvenate elements of our tourism. So good luck to him and his commitment to the Isle of Man and the employees and the future development of quality tourism. This is apparently the person who's behind OPUL. How's the bus trial going, says Eric. As I was the first person to collect my application form and return it, I still don't have my pass. The trial won't work if nobody is on the bus, says Eric. Thanks for that. The Isle of Man is supposedly moving to net zero. Is there a figure anywhere of how many homes, particularly townhouses, can now use green energy, air source heat pumps, says Gaz. No, we haven't, and we haven't heard if they've spent that net zero fund either. Just looked at your webcam and wondered if it's legal. You could be parked up there eating your dinner and the world can watch you eating your dinner, says 46. Well, don't park there. It's a public road. If it's a public road, can't be against the law. Anybody can take pictures of a public road. Anyway, lots of people are watching it. We have a live webcam now. Go to the manxradio.com, click on Island Info on the webcam page, and there you are, a live webcam. And I'm watching it as I speak. Thanks also to is it Leslie? It was Leslie who was saying, you were talking about antisocial behaviour. Whatever happened with that spate of antisocial behaviour in Ramsey? Well, there was a spate of eggs being thrown at houses. And anybody who falls victim to antisocial behaviour is being urged to report it to the police as soon as possible, i.e. don't leave it a few days. Police across the Isle of Man reported incidents of doors being banged or kicked late at night, and again, houses being egged. Sergeant Steve Gorry has got this advice.
We've seen a number of relatively low-level acts of antisocial behaviour, criminal damage, vandalism, that on their own are not unduly concerning. Altogether, they cause quite a lot of concern and upset in the neighbourhood, particularly with some of the small fires that have been lit, have a real potential to get out of hand and cause unintended consequences, both for the people committing these acts and also for other people in the community.
We're hearing that there are some, obviously, young people out and about quite late at night. What can parents do to take some responsibility on this?
Well, there is a huge amount of parental responsibility that should be exercised. What we are finding is that some kids are quite resourceful and they're sneaking out at night. And also, because of the location and types of some of the vandalisms, we believe them to be more likely children than not. They've managed to bring with them items from home to commit some of these acts that we are mindful that parents should really notice have gone missing from the house. For example, with these small fires, they may have come home smelling of smoke perhaps, and really what we want is just parents to be a little more switched on and a little bit more intrusive with their kids. If they think there's anything untoward, ask the kids the question first before we have to ourselves.
Well, this was more applicable when it was school holidays. Obviously, the schools went back on Tuesday, but there's going to be another half term in race week, so it's worth bearing this in mind. It'll be half term the Monday the 2nd of June. This was happening in Ramsey, low-level antisocial behaviour, and what do you do about it? Officers issued an appeal after eggs were thrown at houses in the Park Road area of Ramsey and around the bus station. Now, the clerk of the commissioners, Derek Flint, of course, formerly a police officer, says more could be done for the youth in Ramsey to keep them from misbehaving, but he reckons the issue is low level compared to elsewhere.
Not trying to underplay the impact of this. We do need to keep it in perspective. I've just recently had the benefits of 4 years across in the UK before we returned in January. We're playing a very, very different picture here. We're very, very lucky that what we've got here is effectively mischief as opposed to some of the real hardcore antisocial behaviour which our neighbours are experiencing. But as I said, that doesn't downplay the importance of this and the impact that it does have on people because we live on such a safe island. We've got a new board being formed, obviously, after the election, and I've already noticed in one or two of the narratives of some of the candidates that they really want to, put what we give back to the community right at the fore of it. So young people will be a real big part of that, and hopefully over the coming years we'll be able to improve things just to divert them and keep them engaged.
That's Derek Flint in Ramsey. Have you got any thoughts on this? What do we do? I mean, as Derek said, this is mischief. It's not malice. It's mischief. And the problem here is minuscule compared to across. But that doesn't mean it's minuscule for us. It's really important for us because we pay attention to things like this. What do we do? Is it a matter of giving children, young people, more to do? I remember when we were recently at one of the schools, they said one of the misconceptions is that adults misunderstand when there's a group of kids, youngsters together. They think they're out to cause problems when they're not. They're just having a good time. I suppose it's always been that way. Adults have always misunderstood children. Not you, obviously, because when you were young, you were a saint. Let's not mince it up anymore, says Gary. The fact is, the people we have in government have made a mess of everything, including Douglas Seafront, and not forgetting everything else. Well, not to stereotype everybody. Hello, Gaz. Perhaps people don't vote in elections because they can get national elections, national politicians to deal with local matters. Well, that's always a vexed question, Gaz, and I appreciate you raising that. We do have some national politicians who concentrate on local issues, but then again, they're raised by constituents. Talking about the cabs on the Isle of Man, when I was a black cab driver in Edinburgh, we had a dress code. Drivers over here are some of the scruffiest I've ever seen, and it's not good, says Stewie at Manx Indy. Thank you, Stewie. Interesting. Code of dress for taxi drivers, or how about a uniform for the vehicles? Obviously, these new vehicles, these OPUL ones, are all painted the same. Is that something that you think should happen for Manx taxis in general? Just make them all one colour. Make them the colour of the national flag. Bright red taxis. Then you'd know. If you replace the tramway on the pink concrete, there'll be no need for a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. Everybody will be slow anyway. Not just in Ramsey. Last week, a group of youths were found wandering around farm buildings in Onken after being sent on their way. Damage to vehicles on the farm was found, says James. Right, that's it. Thanks to Chris on the phones today. Going to be back on Monday with another open line. Have a great weekend. Hope the weather gets better.
WILD